Hello and welcome back to my channel. I'm Chloe. How are you guys loving the new setup? Today's topic of discussion will be perfume, specifically how to identify fake versus real perfumes or fragrances. I'll be giving you guys 5 tips or 5 ways to know and to distinguish between a fake versus a real perfume slash fragrance. I know some of us are visual learners, so I did bring visual aid. This is a part of my personal collection, Prada's Paradox perfumes. So without further ado, let's get into it. Tip number 1 is going to be longevity. Longevity speaks to how long the perfume lasts when you spray it onto yourself. That is basically how I knew that this purchase, which is my first Prada Paradox, was indeed a fake. When I purchase my fragrances, I usually spray a bit of it onto a piece of cloth or clothing and leave it for a day or so to see how long it lasts. That is what I call my tester. Generally, I would advise before purchasing the big containers to get a sample. A sample is about, let's see, so samples are around 2 milliliters in size, not really big, but it is just a sample. Usually you get to spray this around 2 to 3 times, 2 to 3 events or 2 to 3 outings or so, and it gives you a generally great idea of what you should expect from the fragrance. So once you've obtained your sample and tested it out and you go online or go wherever to purchase the real thing, you have an idea of what you are in store for. I unfortunately did not do that for this Prada Paradox purchase. However, I did notice that there was something suspicious with it because I did spray it onto my, as I said, my tester cloth. I left it on for a couple of hours. It didn't even last a whole hour. So I would advise getting a tester to have an idea of the longevity of the perfume. And as we all know, Prada is a luxury brand of sorts. So I wasn't expecting to spray one of their fragrances and it would only last a couple of minutes. That was obviously a red flag. Tip number 2, a very obvious one, is the smell. The smell of the perfume is a huge indicator. Again, I will be drawing back for my fake. When I did get this fragrance, it was smelling a lot like water. You could smell the fragrance, but it was excessively watered down. Once again, I would advise to get a sample beforehand. If you are not able to obtain a sample, you can always visit a perfume store like Sephora or Ulta Beauty, and they usually have perfumes out that you can smell, so you don't have to purchase a sample. You can just give it a quick spray onto your hand, clothes, or they have the little sample sticks, pieces of paper there. You can just go ahead and spray it and sniff, so you can have a general idea of what the fragrance should smell like before purchasing. A lot of people do blind purchases and it does work out, but sometimes it doesn't. And in this case, I did not do, this was a blind purchase basically. I didn't do a test, didn't do anything like that. I saw the fragrance and I was like, I'd like to try Prada's Paradox and see what it's like. But how I found out that this was not indeed the real thing was just solely on intuition. My 3rd tip is price. So usually if the price is too good to be true, usually it is too good to be true, which means it's not true. So I would advise purchasing from reputable sites and brands like, as I said before, Sephora or Ulta Beauty, or you can always try purchasing these fragrances directly from their websites and sites. So for example, you'd purchase this Prada Paradox on Prada's website, and you'd purchase a Valentino fragrance on Valentino's site. It might be a little more expensive, but it will give you a peace of mind. I did purchase this Prada on eBay, which kind of what led me also to be skeptical, so I was on the lookout for that as well. I did get a full refund, of course, so it did turn out well in the end. And I am not saying also that you cannot find fragrances on eBay, but if you want to be safe rather than sorry, I would say to just work with the safest bet. And there are also other websites online like fragrancex.com that I have purchased fragrances from personally that I have no complaints from them. So you can check out several other websites aside from the specific website that the fragrance is made by. So this one is the fake in my left hand. It should be your right, and this is the real deal. I will attach the prices above. My 4th tip is going to have to be to inspect the bottle that the fragrance or perfume is in. So I'm going to flip the camera so we can inspect the bottles together. Okay guys, so for reference, this one is the fake and this one is the real one. So let's take the cap off first. So at first glance you can see the difference in the atomizer at the top. One is gold, one is a bit more silver. Our next indicator, which is a bit more obvious, way more obvious in fact, is the contents of the bottle. You can see that the colors are very different, significantly different. This is way more orange amber looking. This is more burnt, like peachish looking. So that is a huge difference as well. You can also notice the stripping on the word Prada, as well as the emblem and the little sash over it as well. Significantly more stripping of the paint in comparison. If it was only the bottle alone, it would have been way more difficult to tell, because I think that they did use an original Prada bottle for this right here. They are super identical, so I'm thinking they did use the same bottle. You can also notice that the fonts are a bit more different. The Milano is more bold than this one over here. There isn't much difference with the tops. They are basically the same. I also think that they did use the same top. It came broken though, but there isn't much, well, there isn't any difference here. As I said, they might have used the same container, as well as the top right here. They are different, but they tried their best to mimic the little triangle shape. Let's take a look at the batch codes that are here. The batch codes are also different. This is kind of tricky though, because after a while they do change how they arrange the letters and wordings on the batch code. And that is why our next step is super important. My fifth and final piece of advice / tip is going to be the batch code. The batch code is located usually underneath the perfume / fragrance. In this case, it's right here. This is the top, it's under here. This one, it's under here. I can show you different examples on other perfumes in the back. I have a YSL and it is also under here. So ultimately located almost always at the bottom of the perfume. So what the batch code does is basically gives you information on the manufacturers, when it was manufactured, when it was released, how old the fragrance is, which will let you know if it is good, bad, going good, if it is fresh, etc. As I had mentioned before, that the batch codes do usually change over the course of, I think, 9 to 10 years. So anything that has anything over 10 years, 9 years, 8 years is usually a huge red flag. And the manufacturers of these fake fragrances do reuse codes. So if you are researching a batch code and it is anything over even 8 years, 7 years, it is a huge red flag. So the batch code is super important. It gives you hints and tips. It does not give you specific info, but it's a guide. As a matter of fact, usually for me, anything over a year is a red flag for me. So especially things that are 7, 10 years is a huge no. All right. So let's take a look at the batch codes for these two right here. As you can see, it says the production date of the first one, which is the fake, is a whopping 17 years, 8 months and 8 days old. That, as I said before, is going to be a huge red flag. Versus the production date for the legit bottle, the age of it is only 1 year, 5 months and 8 days. And between these two, you can obviously tell that the 17 years one is highly suspicious. So in conclusion, the 5 indicators to distinguish between a fake and a real perfume is going to be the smell, how long the fragrance lasts, the price of the fragrance, the batch code, as well as the bottle itself. Thank you guys so much for watching. Be sure to subscribe, leave a thumbs up, and leave a comment if this video has helped you at all. Thank you so much for watching.